Not on. Am I on? Hello, everybody. Hello. Yay. Are you all glad to be here? Yeah? Ready to celebrate? Great. I'm Rebecca. I'll be hosting us today. I wanted to get you warmed up a little, and then we will imminently be beginning our procession. So I'm so glad you're here. I'll say this candidly before your celebrants are in the room. Thank you for all you've done. I'll say it once they're here too, but also super glad that you all have been part of their lives. All right, the formal part. And now we will begin with the procession of graduates, followed by UEP faculty. Do we get some music? You want me to say the fancy words again? There we go. Now UEP faculty. Why did the music stop? Hey graduates, it's so good to see you all here. I feel such deep pride for the work that you have done and accomplished and the things that you're taking on next. I'm Rebecca Shakespeare, and on behalf of UEP's faculty, I am so pleased to welcome you to this commencement. We gather in this place with students and many of those who have supported them. Welcome the family and friends of this year's UEP graduating class. Thank you for all of the support that you've given to our graduates. Let's give them a round of applause. I want to start by acknowledging the land that we are gathering on. Tufts campus is on colonized Wampanoag and Massachusetts traditional tribal territory. Tufts Walnut Hill was also the site of the 10 Hills Farm, a slaveholding plantation. We are in a place and advancing in disciplines and practices that have created and that seek to address injustice and harm. Our commitment towards racial and environmental justice and sustainability is the mission that brings us together as the UEP community. I recall meeting many of you before you applied for UEP. When you were deciding to come, and once you got here at orientation, in class, in the data lab, around Bromfield-Pearson, out just around in the world. It's been a privilege to be present with you through these years of action, dialogue, curiosity, courage, and hope. These past years have been full of challenges and changes, to say the least, individually within our community, campus, neighborhood, country, and world. We, and the community of UEP alums that you're joining today, are drawn to UEP by this mission, to make tangible and community-engaged, sustainable impact in our varied areas. Over the last 1, 2, 3, and maybe more years, you have gathered to study, work, design, map, and challenge beliefs while growing in the roles that you have and will play, leading, listening, organizing, and bravely doing the hard work of incremental and transformative change. We get to share this time to recognize you, what you have done, and what you'll get to do next. Together, we mark that you have progressed towards becoming a practical visionary and join the generations of leaders dedicated to making the world more responsive to the social, economic, and environmental needs of communities. Let's give our graduates another applause. And now I'm pleased to introduce Mary Davis, Senior Associate Vice Provost for Education and a professor in our own UEP, who will provide the welcoming address for today's ceremony. Mary holds a PhD in economics from University of Florida and a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and International Studies from the University of Miami. Mary joined the Tufts community in 2008 in the Department of Urban and Environmental Policy and Planning and has been serving as Senior Associate Vice Provost since 2024. Mary is possibly the best equipped provost to speak to graduates launching into advancing career paths. Her 2024 book, Jobs, Health, and the Meaning of Work, is a must-read for you graduates, and some of you read part of it in cities last year. She's an expert in the science of sustainable fulfillment in work and is a recognized labor and health economist, researching gig workers, fisherfolk, and truck drivers. In her role as Senior Associate Vice Provost, Mary is serving as a practical visionary for Tufts, focusing on cross-university initiatives for public health and AI curriculum. She's also been instrumental in expanding our UEP GIS certificate to a university-wide graduate certificate, the first of its kind at Tufts, which is not a small feat. Please join me in welcoming Mary Davis to the podium as our university host.
Thank you, Rebecca. So I'd like to extend a warm welcome to students, family, and friends today celebrating with us the Department of Urban and Environmental Policy and Planning. So while I was preparing to give remarks at today's graduation, I took a moment to reflect back on nearly 20 years, I've been here 18 years, of UEP graduations, many of which I served in the capacity that Dr. Shakespeare is now as Master of Ceremonies. So lots and lots of speeches. And one thing stuck out to me as I combed through these graduation moments was that I almost always had the same advice or words of wisdom. And so I immediately thought, it's no wonder my daughter's favorite words to me, she's a teenager, is, "I know, Mom." Because literally I say the same thing over and over, so she really does know. So to UEP grads, my persistent advice over the years was, you're needed now more than ever. And realistically, now more than ever shouldn't be every year. There should be some relative calm where the advice could be, it's great to have you, but it's not as bad as last year, or market's looking great, good luck, a more positive message. But instead, I often settled on, you're needed now more than ever. So as I kind of was going back through those speeches, I think back to my first one at UEP, would have been the spring of 2009. It was my first year, and students that year were entering a job market that was completely just fundamentally changed by the financial crisis. That year itself was surreal. My first class at UEP was economics, and teaching it during, it's essentially while financial and real estate markets were crumbling. Economics is bad enough already, so imagine adding that to it. That year was so bad, they called it the Great Recession. So of course, those students were facing really stiff odds, but their future roles in repairing and rebuilding a bruised system were really important. So of course, to them, I said, now more than ever. But year after year, I had very justifiable reasons to say the same thing. And during the pandemic, so fast forward a little bit, I said that while wearing a mask, looking out on an audience that was devoid of friends and family, and students were seated like 5 to 7 seats apart. And so we were a physically disconnected community in crisis. So certainly then, now more than ever. But each time it felt really undeniable that this was the moment calling for your leadership, that the struggle was now. So what I've come to understand is this: in your chosen fields of policy, planning, and sustainability, you will always be needed. There will always be a crisis, a disruption, a moment when the systems that you've studied here with us over the last few years don't perform in the way that they're designed to. But you already know this through your studies and experiences. You've studied housing systems that don't house, transportation networks that don't connect, climate agreements that fail to move the needle, institutions that struggle to adapt and rise to the moment. So the lesson isn't that this moment is uniquely difficult. I know it feels like it is, so I want to say now more than ever. But it's not uniquely difficult. The lesson is that difficulty is a constant feature of the work that you've chosen, that you're always going to be needed. And so that leads to a different, more important question, not what challenges will you face, because you can be guaranteed that there will be many challenges and they will radically change in the blink of an eye. But the question is, who will you be and how will you lead when those challenges arise? Because your impact will not be defined by your ability to predict the future. It's unpredictable. It'll be defined by your ability to respond to it with clarity, with integrity, with positivity, and with resilience. Success will be defined by your ability to stay committed to your purpose, even when the path forward is unclear, even when it's difficult. And it's about continuing to build more equitable systems, more responsive institutions, even when progress feels incomplete or slow or just painfully frustrating, because you will always be needed now more than ever. Thank you, and good luck.
Thanks, Mary. Now I'm pleased to introduce our alumni speaker, Melissa Peters. She's a 2008 UEP graduate with a Master of Arts in Urban and Environmental Policy and Planning. In addition to her Tufts master's degree, she has a bachelor's degree from Lake Forest College, where she graduated cum laude with a dual major in environmental policy and city politics. Some of you had her as part of your field projects teaching team, too. Yeah, there you go. Melissa is a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners and is currently the Assistant City Manager for Community Development for the City of Cambridge. In her role there, she leads the city's planning and policy efforts across affordable housing, economic development, zoning and land use, urban design, open space, and arts and culture. Sounds a lot like UEP's core curriculum. She has previously served as Cambridge's Chief of Planning Strategy and Director of Community Planning. She's an award-winning planner known for creating integrated urban solutions that bring together diverse planning goals. Melissa joined UEP after a remarkable undergraduate career as a U.S. Collegiate National Handball Champion. Her fellow 2008 graduates remember her as a super achiever. Her thesis on Forest Stewardship Council certification and the wood products industry, it was completed early. You never know where your thesis work will continue on in your life. Melissa is now also an amateur woodworker. Please join me in welcoming Melissa to the podium.
Thanks, Rebecca. Graduates, families, faculty, and staff, thank you for welcoming me today. And to the graduating class, congratulations. You've earned this moment. UEP graduates are known for stepping into complexity with clarity, heart, and an unyielding commitment to justice. And this may sound familiar. Mary and I did not rehearse, but these are the qualities that the world needs now more than ever. But it's true, you're entering that world at a moment full of urgent challenges. An unprecedented affordability crisis, climate risk accelerating faster than projected, infrastructure aging faster than our budgets can rebuild. The list is long, and very soon, communities will look to you to answer seemingly impossible questions. How do we grow without leaving people behind? How do we prioritize investments when everything is urgent? How do we preserve what people love while also embracing necessary change? These questions are big, and at times they may feel overwhelming. But this is the work UEP has prepared you for. You know how to listen deeply and transform what you hear into shared visions. You know how to break down complex systems into choices that people can understand. You know how to see the connections between issues that others treat in isolation. And most importantly, you know how to design solutions at the intersection of people, place, and possibility. As you begin charting your own paths, I want to share 3 insights that have mattered deeply in my career, things I wish I had known when I was in your seat. First, big change takes time. Don't let the scale of the challenges limit the scale of your imagination. Big problems demand bold thinking, but bold change rarely happens overnight. More than a decade ago, I was brought on to lead a citywide planning process in Cambridge. Conversations were tense. Many residents worried that recent development was harming neighborhood character, worsening congestion, and stretching public resources. Some hoped the plan would halt growth entirely. We grounded the process in 3 commitments. Center underheard voices, use storytelling to show how policy shapes daily life, and share real examples of how change can strengthen a community. Through that work, we discovered something surprising. Beyond the loudest objections, there was openness to a major shift in housing policy. A transformative idea emerged, an affordable housing zoning overlay allowing more development capacity and streamlined permitting for 100% affordable homes. Pushback came immediately, but we kept going. We talked with families who would benefit. We shared stories that challenged assumptions. We showed how past affordable housing projects added to, not subtracted from the community. 4 years later, the zoning petition for the affordable housing overlay was filed, and it failed. But we still didn't stop. More conversations, more listening, more coalition building. 1 year later, the affordable housing overlay passed. 3 years after that, it was strengthened. And 2 years later, a decade after we first started having these conversations, Cambridge became the first city in Massachusetts to eliminate single-family only zoning citywide. Each step made the next one possible.